please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing on our agenda tonight is a public hearing. And should I read this, Dave, or do you want to read it? Or?
I'll go ahead and read
Aye.
the script here. Okay, so this is a hearing that's on the record. We have a transcript being prepared. It's called to order at 7:02 p.m. this 26th day of February 2018 at Herman City Hall. And this hearing is conducted to consider the application to rezone properties at 222 East 2nd Street, owned by Ronald Weber, 224 East 2nd Street, owned by Kevin Sanderlin, and 228 East 2nd Street, owned by Donna Austin, and to convert them from, or to change them from R1 single-family residential zone to R2 two-family residential. The city's Planning and Zoning Commission conducted a hearing regarding this application on Thursday, February 22nd, 2018 at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. And upon motion made, seconded, and passed, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of the applicant's rezoning applications. Notice of the hearing dates before Planning and Zoning and this board were provided and duly published in the Herman Advertiser Courier newspaper. The applicant, or applicants in this case, will have an opportunity to present their case, to speak if they care to. If there are any documents that they desire for the board to rely on, they're invited to submit those as exhibits. If the applicants have any witnesses whom they desire to speak, this will also be allowed. If the applicants are represented by an attorney whom they wish to speak on their behalf, this also will be allowed. After the applicants have submitted their positions, the board will ask for testimony from others present in the room. Mayor Kerber reserves the right to limit each speaker's time. And at the conclusion of all testimony and comments, the board may deliberate, and then it shall vote on the issue. Whether the application is approved or denied will be carried by a vote of the majority of the board members, provided that if a protest against the revision is presented to the board, signed and acknowledged by owners of 30% or more of the properties within 185 feet of the subject property, then no revision or amendment of the zoning code may become effective unless we have a favorable vote of 2/3 of the members of the Board of Aldermen. So when you have 4 aldermen, you need 3 out of 4, really, no matter what. We would submit the following as exhibits. Exhibit number 1 would be the applications to change the zoning classification for these properties. Exhibit number 2 would be the affidavit of publication from the Herman Advertiser Courier. Exhibit 3 would be the entire municipal code of the city of Herman. Exhibit 4 would be the notice of public hearing itself that was published in the Herman Advertiser Courier. And Exhibit 5 would be the meeting minutes from the February 22nd, 2018 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And so, Mayor Kerber, would you agree to accept all of those exhibits into the record?
I will.
Then we may proceed.
Okay. Are the 3 individuals, property owners here tonight?
No, sir, just one.
Just one. And that's you, Mr. Sandlin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I assume that all the information that we received is accurate, and that the owners are the ones listed there. Actually, I think that maybe we should have you come forward and tell us what you want to do with the property, and a little bit about why you want to rezone, and then absent the other 2, we may have some discussion. If anyone else wants to speak, they're more than welcome to.
I'm Kevin Sanderman. I own the house in the middle, which would be 224 East 2nd Street. Ronnie Weber and Donna couldn't make it on personal reasons. They had paid their application fee to follow through with this. Ronnie's trying to sell his house right now. That's the one to the west of me. And Donna and her boyfriend are there for a little while yet. But all the property around me is commercial. all the way up past the firehouse. There's a parking lot then, and then the little doll shop, all that down across is the bank bar. Everything's commercial in there but these 3 buildings. The only reason why I asked to go to R2 instead of commercial was Dolores said it would probably be easier to get it done with an R2, and I think Dave had mentioned that a long time ago that it would be easier to be done. I talked to a few people before I purchased it from Rosie, and we foreseen no problems to go ahead and go forward. We've refabbed the home, made the inside new again, and I do want to run a guest house out of it. A 4-bed, 8 people, possibly, but it's going to be preserved for 6 people. And I want to run it like I run my other 5. And that's why I'm asking to have this changed, because it will be an unoccupied guest house, meaning that I won't be there to manage it. I'll be in town, of course, or I live a half a mile outside of town, and I can get there in time. I haven't had any problems with my other houses yet, so I foresee none with this one either. So I'd ask you guys to vote yes for it, and I'll sit back down.
Okay,
Is
good.
that okay?
Thank you. We don't have the others. Are we going to need, planning and zoning went through this fairly quickly. We can listen to other people if they want to speak, or we can discuss it. I'm not sure what the pleasure is of the alderman.
Is there anyone else here that wants to speak?
I had a couple questions. One, so how many bedrooms?
3 bedrooms, 2 baths.
And then how about parking? What is your?
I have off-street parking and a garage in the back. and
Wasn't that the parking in the back?
they
Can you
will-
access any of that other than the garage? I
You
mean,
can
it's
drive
not
in the
real
car.
parking, right?
To be honest with you, they won't park back there, but there is off-street parking under a carport, and then there's a garage, yes. And I haven't got the garage finished yet.
Okay, the building next to, the house next to the firehouse.
Weber.
It's Ronnie Weber.
That's Ronnie Weber's.
If that were to become a guest house, do you think the fire department would have problems with any of the parking?
Well, the street in front of there is painted yellow to a certain point down, so it's already no parking, so the firemen can have a place to park.
Okay. Big part of it, mostly driveway in front of that building too, so it's the fire.
Well, I didn't know, you know, if it was a problem. That's all I got.
Anybody else?
Well, when we discussed it at planning and zoning, it's basically just this grouping of 3 houses there that it's downtown in an area that's commercial, and that R2 would probably be a better zone for these 3 houses than commercial in C1. And it would keep those houses in use as guest houses would be probably the best use for them in that area. So that's kind of what we felt like at the planning and zoning level, is that would be the best use for them.
These properties are surrounded by everything else. I mean, they got a beer garden in the backyard. You've got guest houses across the street, a car wash on one side, a firehouse on the other. It's not R1 housing anymore.
No, it's not R1 housing. They are houses though, so they're not stores. So I think R2.
Oh, R2 is very acceptable.
Is reasonable, and if Kevin and the other 2, I see you, I'll get you just a second, Mr. Wilkins. If Kevin and the other 2 will be cognizant of the fact that we have a severe shortage of parking downtown. In this area, all the Schiller Street, for instance, the upstairs of most of those buildings are guest houses or bed and breakfast. Those people have to park on the street. The city doesn't have a city parking lot down there, which maybe that's a good idea in the future to build one. And then you could use it. But the shops, the good thing about this is the buildings are separate from Schiller where a lot of the shops are, so it really doesn't impede people parking on the street to go into the antique shops and things like that. So it's really not, doesn't seem to me anyway, from my opinion, to be an undue hardship on any residential area. And really, aside from the parking, which if we have to, it can be put in the back. Even though they won't use it, they can be encouraged to use it, maybe. I don't see a problem, and it's 6 to 8 people are gonna stay in it, so we have that number, so I don't really understand, I'm not having any real problems with it. Brant, did you wanna say something? Or-
I did.
Okay.
My name is Brant Wilkins,
B-R-A-N-P-T?
no D.
Okay.
I would like to ask the aldermen to please vote yes on this. It's probably the worst zoned street in town. The north side's already commercial. It's only 3 buildings that are zoned R1. Really does leave the owners in a poor position to move forward with any sales. I would ask that maybe you go a step further and think maybe forward thinking. Would it be helpful to have maybe a C1 zoning that allowed retail in one of those? As thankfully we are growing, we are running out of areas that are zone C1. Inside now of Market going east, we only have 5 streets that continue with a residential zoning. After, if hopefully you do the right thing and make the change now, we'll only have 1 R1 zoned block. So I think sometimes when the mayor says a residential area, I would hope, thinking forward, we maybe address that things have changed. Maybe some zoning changes throughout the historic district might also be a good thing. That's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. Okay, we could have, I guess we were about ready to vote on this before, so it delayed us a little bit, but do we have any other further discussion on this? My understanding is this will be a motion, we'll approve it, then we'll need to bring this back in 2 weeks to get the final zoning approval, so do I have?
Yeah, you need an ordinance to amend the zoning code and the zoning map, and so that's what will be before you next week, or next meeting.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone these lots as R2. Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, mayor's report. We have a very brief report tonight. We had some inclement weather last week, off and on, back and forth. And to my knowledge, we didn't have any injuries, any car crashes or anything like that. The street department got out in front of this pretty quick, and they did a wonderful job on that. They have all winter, kept us out of trouble. So I appreciate that, and would to thank, if Mark was here, I would ask him to thank him. I'll try to send something out to all of them and tell them they did a great job on that. We appreciate it. I also want to say that it was a pleasure to attend the Herman Elementary School Leadership in Action event. I was escorted through the event by a young man who was in the 3rd grade. His name was Colt. He told me all I needed to know, showed me everything, showed me his workbook, and explained all the exhibits, and it was really great. It's wonderful to see what they're doing and how what a tremendous asset we have in our R1 school system. And these young people will make truly great leaders for our city in the future. The last thing, well, second to last, the circuit courts decided on a mandatory mediation for the city's injunction case. This is what the city attorney and I have discussed this for months, and we're glad to see that we'll get one final chance to see if we can structure an attempt to reach some type of agreement on March 20th. If that fails, then we still go to court on April 17th. That's just an update. As I said last time, just in case anybody is wondering about this, we had the top 2 tourism years in history the past 2 years. So tourism is alive and well. It's up over 30%, and I think the whole city is proud of that. And I know that Tammy will make that even better. So that's my report that I have tonight. We don't have the city administrator here. Mark is gone to a meeting. It's a 3-day meeting on water and gas and some other things. He has to keep his certification up, so he's gone to he's supposedly studying, so I hope he is. We don't have any report. Now we have an ordinance.
The first is bill number 2018-07. It would be an ordinance to approve a survey for the re-subdivision of Lot 12 on East 3rd Street and to ratify the recording of such survey. And just a brief history here. The city has Chapter 430, which is its code that addresses subdivisions. And we hear the word subdivision, we think maybe of a little street that you drive in and there's a dozen or so lots in there. But it really means anytime you take a lot and you divide it into one or more lots, that's a subdivision. Chapter 430 says anytime you have a subdivision request, it has to go to planning and zoning and then finally approved by the Board of Aldermen. In reviewing the request for subdivision, the city staff looks at it and sees if it meets all the codes and regulations. In this case, the city staff recognized that if the subdivision were allowed, you'd have 2 resulting lots that didn't meet the city's lot area, width, and possibly setback requirements. And so planning and zoning doesn't have, nor do you guys have, the authority to waive any codes such as setbacks or lot area or lot width. The only board that has that power is the Board of Adjustment. So the applicant went to the Board of Adjustment, who granted a variance with respect to lot width and lot size. Then it went to planning and zoning, and considering that variance, planning and zoning approved the proposal, and now it's before you. It's before you in the form of this survey prepared by Vincent Klott. Again, Chapter 430 has pages and pages of requirements that need to be met, including preliminary plats and final plats and things that they must show. Our city engineering firm looked at this survey and said that, in their opinion, this survey meets all the requirements and has everything on it that they would want to see. And so planning and zoning approved this survey of this subdivision, and now it is before you.
Okay. The ordinance, do you want to read the ordinance and we can discuss and vote?
Sure. An ordinance to approve a survey for the re-subdivision of Lot 12 on East 3rd Street and to ratify the recording of such survey.
Does anyone have questions, comments, any discussion? Go ahead.
I don't have any questions.
Do I have an entertained motion?
I'll just say that there is a large, long transcript from the Board of Adjustment meeting, and that was discussed in great detail, and then at Planning and Zoning it was discussed in great detail again. And even though we don't discuss a whole lot here at the Board of Aldermen level, it's been looked at quite a bit. We looked at the easements and the setbacks and what was going to be, planned for the entire area, and we felt like, to go through with, go ahead with it.
That's important because you assume that everybody out there and everybody watching knows that we went through this kind of scrupulous investigation of all this information at the Board of Adjustment and then again at Planning and Zoning. So by the time it gets here, we know pretty much everything's been looked at by at least 2 or 3 sets of eyes, and we're told it's all okay. So if it seemed like I was hurrying through it, I wasn't. I just assumed that maybe that was the case, but it has been looked at and approved.
I also attended the zoning meeting, listened to it, and like Brian said, it was discussed in length, and I think it was well done. So I think he took a problem and came up with a solution. It was.
So you like it so much you will make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve whatever the
First reading.
first reading of re-subdivision of Lot 12.
I second it.
Okay, without further discussion, we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Now, we do need to read this again.
Bill number 2018-07, an ordinance to approve a survey for the re-subdivision of Lot 12 on East 3rd Street and to ratify the recording of such survey.
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we declare it second read.
Second.
we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have a resolution. Do you want me to read that one, or do you want?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
It's resolution number 1248. It would be a resolution to adopt the American Public Power Association Safety Manual. The APPA manual is how thick? Maybe like this. It's available for inspection at the city clerk's office for anybody who'd like to look at it. But this is just some housekeeping that we ought to keep up with here.
Our insurance, MIRMA, is a new requirement for 2018.
Any discussion?
I move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Any unfinished business?
I do.
Okay.
We've been having a problem here in town we've been trying to deal with. Dave, I admit what I'm about talking about, you probably don't want me to, and I'm doing it without your approval or consent. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this tonight, but Mr. Wilkins' comments about moving commercial into residential neighborhoods put me over the top. I'm writing this to clear up a few misconceptions. As you probably know, the Herman City Council is currently at odds with a guest house operator who refuses to comply with our zoning laws. There's absolutely no dispute on this. He knows he's in violation. Because of it, he requested a zoning change, but was turned down by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Instead of simply complying, he insists we change our laws to make his illegal activities legal. He wants everyone to believe this is the mayor versus the guest house to get sympathy, instead of the him versus the city of Herman that it actually is. He also wants anyone to think of any money spent trying to get him to comply with our zoning laws as wasting city resources. Well, I disagree. I believe any money spent protecting our residential neighborhoods is money well spent. When I agreed to take this job, I took an oath of office that I take very seriously. And that oath I swore to uphold the laws and ordinances of the city of Herman. In the 3.5 years since I took this job, we have had to send letters to over 40 businesses and individuals who were in violation of our zoning and business laws. The majority of them were simple misunderstandings, and the violators willingly complied after the first letter. Several took a second notification. As far as I know, only a few went beyond that. We normally don't publicize these occurrences because compliance is usually met willingly and without conflict. The vast majority of businesses here in town willingly comply with our laws and ordinances, and we're very grateful for that. And then there's this. Running a city of any size requires a lot of legal advice and guidance. This is why we have a city attorney. Quite frankly, without his services and advice, I would be afraid to try and operate. Anytime we have an issue in Herman, he advises and counsels us to make sure we obey the laws of the city of Herman, the state of Missouri, and the United States. Any legal issue we have that requires his services, his time is billed to that particular issue. That is why you have a budget. Enforcement of our laws and ordinances and regulations costs money. Anytime a police officer shows up for work, it costs the city money. Anytime a police car rolls, it costs the city money. Every time an officer gives a warning, serves a paper, writes a ticket, or arrests someone, it costs the city money. Believe it or not, every time we haul someone into our own municipal court, it costs the city money. Does this mean we shouldn't enforce our laws? Of course not. That is why we have a budget for these things. This idea that spending money to get someone to comply with the law is somehow wrong is a fantasy. It is in fact an everyday occurrence. The blame for any legal bills generated beyond the original letters to this guest house owner falls solely on his shoulders. Had he simply complied with our laws and ordinances, none of this would have been necessary. Since the first public manifest in 1952, tourism has been a boon to our town and will continue to be for many years to come. Our lack of short-term boarding, motels and hotels has always been a weak link in our tourism strategy. Guest houses and B&B inns can and will continue to be a part of the solution to this, providing much-needed beds, along with being a highly valuable and lucrative addition to our city's tourism trade. It allows people who normally wouldn't be able to stay overnight and experience the treasures our town has to offer for multiple days instead of having to drive somewhere else to stay or to go home. This increases the amount of tourism interaction with our local businesses and will definitely increase everyone's bottom line. And this is about money, folks. Don't let anyone try to tell you it's not. But they must obey our laws and ordinances. Businesses operating in a residential zone have different rules. This is not a secret. They know this. And the majority of them readily and willingly comply with them. A guest house B&B inn is allowed to let rooms for compensation with or without a morning meal included. That is by city ordinance the permitted use. It cannot be a hotel, a restaurant, a bar, a nightclub, or anything else. This is why we have zoning laws. They keep a bar from opening next to a school, a nightclub next to a church, or a hotel in a residential area. I represent a mostly residential ward. The citizens who live there, a lot of them lifelong residents, understand just how important tourism is to our town. Their willingness to put up with a certain amount of aggravation for the good of the community as a whole is very much appreciated. I would not, however, make the mistake of assuming that they have an unending supply of patience. When tourism first became a regular thing here in town, 1952, everyone said, hey, it's only one weekend a year, we can put up with it. Then when the Oktoberfest started 30-some years ago, they were told, hey, it's only 1 month of the year, you can put up with it. But folks, it's gone far beyond that now. It seems we have a different festival or 2 or 3 almost every month of the year. In fact, there are very few weekends where there isn't something going on in Herman. Even when there isn't, people still come here because it's a nice small town and a convenient day trip with a lot to offer. That is by design, and it is a great thing for Herman. However, even though tourism may have become the lifeblood of our town, the residents here are still the heartbeat and soul of it. These people are citizens, these people are taxpayers, these people are voters, and they have rights also. If we refuse to protect their neighborhoods from nonsense like this, we are simply not doing our jobs. Because of problems we were having a couple of years ago, we put a moratorium on any more guest houses in R1 neighborhoods with a promise to reevaluate it at a future time. I have been asked numerous times just when that reevaluation will take place. As far as I'm concerned, until we can get cooperation on our ordinances, there will be no reevaluation. And if a few people want to make this man the poster boy for guest houses in Herman, I promise you I will never vote to allow another guest house in an R1 district. I know a lot of people think this doesn't affect them, but they are very, very much mistaken. If this is not stopped now, it will eventually spread all over town. I'd like everyone to carefully consider the next statement. A law unenforced is an unenforceable law. It sets a precedent. Unless we insist people obey them, our zoning laws will cease to exist. Zoning laws are what protect our neighborhoods. If our zoning laws fail, guess just what could be coming to the house next to you. David Farrell, Ward 2 Alden in the city of Herman.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any other unfinished business? Some new business, I have one item, and I'd like to discuss or to explain that the city is in the process of rezoning some land at the industrial park. And it seems that maybe we had some people with questioning just what it was we were trying to accomplish. What we have an industrial park for the best to help promote industry in Herman. We hope to build warehousing or plants or some type of business that hires people here. It's so that we can offer land for a building or put them together with someone who will construct the building and develop it for the use of women, the best interest, more jobs, better economy. So at one time, we had interest in a hotel being put in out there, and we left part of that property at the industrial park as unclassified. That didn't work, and now we want to change it so that we have all the land industrial, so we can make this offer to anyone that's, and we do have people interested in possibly moving here and building plants and so forth. So we need, that's why we're doing it. I wanted to get it out in the open because someone may think that we're trying to, we can't pull something quick. We can't do anything under the table. This has to be done in the open. It's all out, above board. We will probably have to declare the property surplus. Then we'll have to accept bids on it. We can do it with closed bids or an auction. And so everybody knows anyone can bid on it. And so it's not anything secret. So I wanted to get that out there and make sure that everyone knew why we were doing this and what we were doing. It's to help to develop that and add more land to our industrial park holdings with the hope of enticing some company to come in and develop it for the best interest of Herman. So that's the new business I have. Is there any other new business? Okay, motions. Do we have a motion on what to do with the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minute.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Let me say one thing. We have someone from the park board here that wants to talk about water pads, and I don't know if we should, normally we would do this in the citizens' comments. Are you two in a hurry, or we have a closed session. What do you think we should take it now? Or does it matter?
Sure, you take it now.
Take it now?
Fine with me.
Okay. Let's do that, and then we'll go back to the invoices. Susan, and why don't you come forward and tell us what you have? This has become a time-sensitive issue. This is a joint operation between Park Pride and the St. George School fundraiser. They want to know something because they have something next Thursday, I believe, so you can fill us all in. Thank you, ladies.
Okay, so we are here on behalf of Park Pride, kind of just letting you guys know what our next project, what we would like to do for our next project. And we are fundraising to add a new feature to the park. And what we would like to do is a splash pad, possibly on the north side of the Herman Pool. And just kind of like, it'll be there so that when the pool's closed, they can still use the water, or still use the splash pad. The estimated cost of the project is $70,000, which includes the equipment, installation, freight, and startup services. St. George has approached us and offered to do a fundraiser for that project. And their fundraiser, they're going to start with the breakfast on March 8th for local businesses to seek their support, and then they'll go from there.
Tell us what a water pad is. What is it? I mean, could Brian use it?
Anybody could use it. If you were in
Yeah,
a child in
sure.
a wheelchair, you could use it.
Good.
It's going to have 2 water cannons, foam jets, calyx jets, and directional jets. It has a one drain away control panel. It has an activation bollard, which is a big post, and you hit the button on it, and that brings the water out.
Does it spray you or
Yes.
slide around?
Well, it does all kinds of stuff.
Yes. And this is a drawing from Bryan Associates for this product.
Where's the nearest one we could actually see?
Union,
Union has one.
Rolla also has.
they're big. The one in Union is huge. It's super duper nice. We checked with Myrma about fencing. It would not need fencing. The St. George kids are very conscious of saving water and saving our resources. So they asked about having it recirculating and recirculate the water, but that would add $18,000 more to the project. So in talking with the sales rep, he said that you can have water conserving nozzles added. That's only a $500 addition, and that would cut the water amount in half also. And then you can set a time limit to it, so it could run for 15 minutes, and then you'd have to hit the button to get it run again.
And so it's kind of like a flat surface kiddie pool. It does things, it squirts.
It's got holes in the ground and the water shoots up and around it.
Kind of like the baby pool has the waters that shoot.
Right.
shoot outside.
So there would be no water reuse system with this? How many gallons a day will this thing use?
Well, we looked at that too, and let me find it. On the average, if the splash pad ran 3 hours a day, it would average out to $20 a day for water and sewer, which for 30 days would average $600 a month.
Okay, it's Park Pride. Who's paying for the water? Are we paying for it? Okay.
The city would be responsible for the water and the sewer.
What about insurance? Do we know if it's insurable?
I would think, I mean, she would have to check, but I would think that would fall under the umbrella with the
Just like the
pool.
pool? Yeah.
I would think.
What's the maintenance cost of that? Is that something that the,
That's something that the sales rep is still working on. But I think mainly what it would be to take those water cannons out every season and then
well, I'm just thinking,
winterize
because
it.
like those water features at the kiddie pool sometimes don't work. And, you know, I just know that things don't go as planned. So I
Right.
was just wondering, with all this stuff under the ground, how easy is it gonna be to maintain and fix if something goes wrong?
Will there be a pump to this, or will we be using strictly city water pressure?
It would be a pump. The thing about those things that are in the baby pool too is the persons that, or the company that installed that had problems with the installation. And it was difficult for the city, I believe, to get with them, to have them repair it and get it working as it should.
I think it works pretty good now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
People seem to, kids enjoyed that, it worked, I think. It's a great,
Well, without the recirculation system, the maintenance cost would drop considerably.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's the other thing. If there's a recirculating system, the maintenance is a lot higher and more to do. But I don't have those figures on that.
would we filter the water then, or would it just, you would filter it so it's not?
I'm assuming it would filter, it'd
Would
have
be
to be
contaminated.
clean. Right, right.
What, with the surface of it, is it plastic or is it some kind of concrete? Or?
It's concrete.
Oh, okay.
And the great thing about it is it would benefit all of our local children. And it would also benefit our tourism industry because a lot of small towns don't have this feature. So it may draw people from the smaller towns in our area to come to our town. And maybe when they're here, they'll have a meal or go to the gas station. And there would also be a perk for families coming to camp in our park because a lot of times there's not much for kids to do in the
And
park
it-
when they're camping.
It's open, wouldn't be closed when the pool's closed. Would it?
That would be up to the city to set the hours.
Okay.
of
But how
when
do you
we
keep
do-
them, the way you keep them out is you just don't turn the water on. I
Right.
guess.
Right.
The cost of that 70,000, that included the pad and the fittings and all?
That includes the concrete pad, installation, freight, and startup services.
Okay, 'cause they-
But city
That's
will have to
about-
run the water and drains to it?
But we're hoping we can get donations, like we did when we did our playground, where businesses came in and helped
Those
us.
rolling lines are.
Well, we'll find it.
They're on the other side of the pool, and they'll have to be ran around.
Is the plan to raise money for 100% of the project, or is it some of it coming from the park budget, or?
From Park Pride, from this fundraiser.
So
And there's a
this-
possibility they'll raise money again next year for it, because I think coming up with $70,000
That's
is
ambitious.
very ambitious. And I know St. George has raised their goal from the 10,000. I think last time, 2 years ago, their goal was $7,000 and they raised 10. So they've made their goal a little higher this time.
Those kids are great fundraisers.
They are.
And the kids came up with the pros and cons of this. The kids came up with the pros of, oh, well, tourists can use it. Oh, kids in the park can use it. And their only con was, well, yeah, it's going to cost. It's going to cost money.
Right.
So
Okay, what are we expecting to do tonight? What, it's a great presentation. What do you want us to do?
I would assume, I guess, that we have your approval to move forward because St. George wants to have their breakfast for all the businesses on March 8th, and then they want to have this event in April. And it will be like they did 2 years ago when they did Pedal in the Park. It'll be along those lines. They'll also have games and things for the kids to play like they did last time.
So we just have to come, I'm sorry.
The park board, make sure that they understand the park board is aware of everything that's going on too. This was discussed at the park board meeting and
Yes.
And what did the park board say?
everybody was in
They were
favor
fine,
of it,
yeah.
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 I don't
They
know.
didn't know St. George was coming into this because that just recently came up. We went and talked to St. George a month ago and we left it in their ball court and they came Friday and said, okay, we want to do this.
But
So-
they didn't really vote on it though, did we?
No.
I was gonna say, I know it was discussed at
Yes.
length, but I don't think there was
Yes.
a vote to approve it.
Well, I think we don't approve it until there's the money for it.
No, I meant the
So-
park board itself approving it, they discussed it, and everybody seemed to be in favor, but there was no formal vote
Like a vote of
to
support.
approve the
Is
project.
I guess that's what I'm wondering. Are we being asked to give you a vote of support or some kind of endorsement? Or we don't, a motion to approve it, we don't really have,
No.
do we have all the information? What
We
do
have all of this information. I think we just need approval for St. George to go ahead and start their fundraising effort.
Are you guys trying for this calendar year?
No.
No.
Okay, I'll say, because you're.
No, I think
cutting
this
yourself
is
a
too
little.
high of a goal. Because last time they raised $10,000.
So you just want really for us to say, we think it's a good idea? And
See if
we
we can do it.
encourage St. George and the Park Pride to work together to try to achieve this. Is that,
And if they raise the money that's needed, you will agree that this facility can be built in your park.
okay.
I will make that motion,
Oh, we don't make a motion, do we?
or whatever we need to do.
I
Yeah,
I had a question on the $600 a month of the water. Would that then come out of the park budget? And is there, right now, plenty of money for water in the park budget?
Yes, I think.
I think.
And that's not gonna be every month. You know, we won't know.
Well,
until
I assume
December,
it's like 3
January,
bucks or
February,
something,
March.
so you're looking at a couple $1,000, which isn't a lot, but I'm just curious. if-
And then repairs, I'm gonna guess, if there are any repairs, that's gonna come out of the park budget as well?
Because this will all go to the park, just like the Kaboom
Right.
playground equipment, that all goes to the park, to the city.
Well, so then other than just authorizing the land, I guess, then the park board would have to.
That's what I was saying, it was not actually voted on, it was discussed, and everybody was in approval, feelings of
Okay.
it, but they never really voted on it. So I just wanted everybody to be clear on that.
Yeah.
Everybody's in favor of the idea, and let's go ahead and go with it. But
Is there gonna be any kind of barrier around this?
No, we checked on that, we don't have to have one.
That's not why I asked.
Why, are you gonna do
Well, when
something?
snow was on the ground, I saw tire tracks across the ball field.
Oh,
I know.
And with this here, I'm not sure what is left there and what is taken out during the winter months, but
I think the thing.
one of our little darlings would decide to go out there and do donuts on a white outhouse, but it would be very expensive.
And the other thing, this water number, if we add the water conserving nozzles, our sales rep says your water number would be cut in half. So I think. it'd
You better
be
look at
less.
3/4, they don't always get that right. It's still, it's worth doing.
Well,
And it's about a 25-foot diameter pad.
well, it sounds like fun to me, I was,
Did you have a cost on the recirculating?
It's another $18,000.
So that'd be like a 10-year investment or something to save
Those kids would
water.
all have their own kids.
Right.
okay, so we are basically endorsing this project and telling them that should it come to fruition, we will allow it to be put in the park. And that's all we're doing, isn't it?
Sounding good to me.
Yep.
Dave, you made a motion, do you still?
I'll move what you just said.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you
very
all.
much.
Okay, now I've got it sort of out of order, but we now have invoices for payment.
I move we pay the bill.
Second.
We have a motion made to pay the bills in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Hire Mallory Levy as swimming pool assistant manager.
Well, we can't pay her if we have to pay for water.
It takes a lot
This
to
is also from recommendation from the park board.
Yeah, this has all been discussed.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Approve the bid for Lamke Trenching and Excavating Incorporated for the water service replacement project. Okay. Any questions, discussion on that?
Where's it going?
Do what?
Well, they're gonna take that, make that line that breaks go away. Where are they going with it? But Mark's not here, so
I would think right next to it, I would think.
I don't think they get it out of the street or the highway.
Not 100% sure.
Okay, Trish, do you remember what this is? Or normally
Mark made this little memo for us since he wasn't going to be here, but
Right.
beyond that, I don't know any more details.
It's the one right in front of the church that they've had to dig
Right.
Oh,
up.
that's right, yeah,
Dig
I'm
up in
sorry.
like 3 times in the last year.
Yeah, we
They
seem
drive
to
by there and the
have,
heads are sticking out of the hole.
yeah, you have problems there, and, exactly. Okay,
So they're replacing that line?
But it says elimination.
Eliminating it and connecting it somewhere else, it says. There are 8 active service lines that come off of that main, which will be reconnected to the newer PVC main. The old main will be cut off, capped, and abandoned after new connections are made.
And is this something that we've got money for?
Trish has money for
Huh?
Trish is gonna pay for it.
Okay, no problem.
I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
I assume this will start soon then?
You can assume, I can assume, Mark knows though, so
Well, the weather's getting good, so.
yeah, I'll find out, not Charlie. Approved bid from Jim Trenery Motorsports for a utility vehicle. It's not like a motorcycle.
No, it's like the Gators we had, or the John Deere Gators, except it's a Ranger Polaris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as Wayne has here in his memo, there are 5 departments. The 4 utilities in the park are all going to share the cost and share the vehicle.
It's budgeted, so I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Accept list of records to be destroyed into the minutes. Now, this is Trish's housekeeping.
Yes, yeah, we'll do this a couple times a year. This is our first storage unit. They're all non-confidential and they're all on the schedule to be destroyed. We'll recycle them.
Just a formality to help her clean up. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Caterers permit for Edelbrand, but it's Brand, isn't it? Edelbrand, Pure Distilling, Alpenhorn Guest House, March 6 and 7, 2018.
Is Adrian opening a distillery down there?
No, these people are coming in to do a special tasting.
Oh, okay. I will move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, Alyssa Thurman and Austin Thurman Memorial Scholarship Fund, April Fool's Run fundraiser, various streets and sidewalks on the west side of town, March 31st, 2018.
They're going to follow the turkey trot route.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
With a motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, Herman Area Chamber of Commerce, Wiener Dog Derby, Lower City Park, near Ball Field, Upper City Park, and J.C. Pavilion in case of rain. March 25th, 2018.
Make a motion approved.
Second.
A motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, Herman Crown Suites, concert and concessions, amphitheater and partial street closure on East 4th, May 11th, June 29, August 3rd, and September 21st, 2018.
I'm trying to remember here, do we have a rental fee for the amphitheater?
Yes, the park board just approved it a couple months ago, and it's $400 for private.
Is that what this would
Rentals?
be?
Yes.
Okay.
And the partial street closure, they were hoping just like where the fence starts on 4th Street, just to close that a little bit.
Chief, you got a problem with that?
No, that's fine, they close it off there for open container or whatever, just locked off.
Okay?
I will move to approve it.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Special event application, Perseverance Foundation. We're gonna, let me go ahead and finish it. Concert and fundraising activities, amphitheater, June 2nd, 2018. There may be a conflict in the date, and I'd like to table this until the next meeting to make sure we have time to sort that out. So we're
It
gonna
doesn't
table-
sound like on here like they had the plans finalized, does it?
Yeah, we're gonna table that for now. Get it back, it's a good, good thing. Special event application, Robert Thiessen Memorial Fundraising Concert Amphitheater, September 14th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We have no reports, boards or commissions. We have closed session. Do we have a motion to close this meeting to closed session?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any citizen comments?
I don't have any cards.
Okay. No, we need a motion to close.
I move we close open and go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters related to legal action, cause of action, litigation, or privileged communication between the city's representatives and its attorneys. Leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate, and hiring, firing, disciplining, promoting employees pursuant to section 610-021.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay, do we have a vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're now in closed session. Do we need a few minutes or should we start? Thank you. Appreciate it.